Hello friends, today I'm going to discuss a very important yet oftentimes misunderstood topic, and that is the risks that unmarried men may face with regard to custody of their children. You know, when these unmarried men decide not to marry their baby mamas. So whether you are a single man or a single woman, this information will be crucial for you to understand your legal position regarding your kids. So let's get ready to dive in. Welcome back to the Divorce Broadcast. My name is Manny Segarra, coming to you from Miami, Florida. Alright, so before we jump into the challenges that unmarried fathers may face with regard to custody of their children, I would be remiss if I didn't start off by saying I am not lecturing anyone here on how to live their life. If you want to marry your baby mama, great. If you don't, that's fine. Or if you want to marry your baby daddy, great. If you don't, that's fine too. Live your life to the fullest and to the best that you can. We're all big boys and big girls here, so there's no reason for me to lecture anyone. What I do want to discuss is some of the legalities of what happens with unmarried men who are the biological fathers of children. So let's talk about some of the issues that these unmarried fathers may face. The first risk that unmarried fathers face is that upon birth of these children, they do not automatically have custody rights to the children. That's right. Each jurisdiction is different, and I invite everyone to check their local jurisdiction. But in order for these unmarried fathers to have official visitation or time sharing or a parenting plan with these children, they must first establish paternity, and this is often done by legal means. In some jurisdictions, perhaps signing a voluntary affidavit of paternity, like a birth certificate, is enough. But in a lot of jurisdictions, like in the state of Florida, you must establish paternity by filing a paternity suit. What a paternity suit is that the father would file a particular suit in the court of Florida asking for the court to determine paternity. So once paternity is established by a court order, the court must also allow for the father through a subsequent court order or similar court order to let him have visitation or time sharing with the children. Risk number 2, without establishing formal paternity as an unmarried father, that person will not automatically have the right to make decision making over the children, whether that is decisions about school placement, education, healthcare, or religious indoctrination. These rights are only typically granted after a court has adjudicated paternity and entered an order allowing for parental decision making. So that's a big risk. The third risk is the potential for either limited or no time sharing or visitation. Even if an unwed father establishes paternity, there's no guarantees that a court will allow them to have time sharing or visitation. So a great example of this is the unmarried fathers who wait 5, 7, 8 years to try to establish paternity. At that point, when they try to establish paternity, the court will always consider the best interest of the children. So at 8 years old or 5 years old, that father who waited that long may get limited time sharing instead of like an equal time sharing schedule. And as the children get older, it gets a little bit more challenging, especially when you're dealing with the preteen and the teenagers. The fourth risk associated with unwed or unmarried fathers with respect to custody of their children is the challenges associated with asserting their parenting or parental rights. And this is manifested by some of the obstacles that they will have to overcome both in court and on a social level. What I mean by that is, as I just mentioned, if they wait a little bit too long when the child is either a preteen or a teenager in order to try to establish paternity, then the court system may throw some hoops at them. They may have to do supervised time sharing or reunification therapy. Either the child or that father will have to do counseling, or if there's substance abuse or drug abuse issues, they may get tested. All of these challenges can prove lengthy and disheartening to these unwed fathers, so they must prepare for the task at hand. The fifth risk is a big one, and that is the mother's impact on the custody or parental rights of these unwed or unmarried fathers. What I mean by this is that mom has been pretty much in charge of all things relating to the children until these unwed or unmarried fathers file the appropriate action in court. So they've been in charge a lot of times, and if they decide, for instance, to relocate or move to a different state, it is going to be extremely hard or challenging for these unmarried or unwed men to try to stop the relocation if they do not try to establish paternity or obtain some sort of custody rights before the mother tries to move away. And it is always more difficult to try to get a child to come back or change a visitation schedule once it is initially in place. Another aspect could include if the mother gets remarried. That's right. Then that other person will be calling the shots. That other person will be the dad. And that other person may decide to adopt the children. So it is imperative for these unwed fathers or unmarried fathers to establish paternity rights in the event that they don't want somebody else stepping into their role as a father. Additionally, the mothers will have full reign to make all of the decisions regarding the children's school, their medical, dental, extracurricular activities, their religious indoctrination. The mothers are going to be in charge of whether there's a baptism or a bar or bar mitzvah, a quinceañera, when the children can use a cell phone, when the children can drive a car. So it could affect long-term the relationship between these children and the unwed fathers if they decide that they're not going to try to establish paternity. And finally, the sixth risk, and what a lot of viewers may find as the most shocking risk, is that even without establishing custody rights, these unwed or unmarried fathers may still be placed on child support. That's right. For those of you that may have momentarily blacked out or passed out, you can still be put on child support. Child support. Child support. Even if you don't establish custody rights with your children. I know that must have sounded scary to some of you, and it should, because Title 4D of the Social Security Act mandates that every state have a system in order to collect and enforce child support. It is a federal law, and that applies to unwed or unmarried fathers even without custody rights. That means a custodial parent, if they apply for some sort of public assistance like food stamps or Medicare or something like that, then they can apply for child support and get assistance from the state's child support enforcement agency. This type of case may also be automatically referred to the Department of Revenue to start child support proceedings against that unwed or unmarried father who does not have custody rights. And a lot of times that can happen, and there will be significant ongoing child support enforced or imposed on those unwed fathers. All right, so that is a wrap on our video regarding the risks that unwed or unmarried fathers may face with regard to custody of their children if they decide not to marry the mother of their children or not to pursue custody rights. Either way, if you know anyone who either may find this information useful or who is on the lookout because child support services or the Department of Revenue is after them, have them look us up at www.segarralawfirm.com. We have offices in Miami and Orlando, Florida. Se habla español. Please do us a favor and like this video. Subscribe to the Divorce Broadcast, and we will see you all soon. Thank you.